Hello and welcome to the Fiona Small Show. Today I have another phenomenal guest named Ilona. I just want to say a big shout out and welcome to Ilona. Thank you so much for joining the Fiona Small Show. Let me tell you a bit about Ilona. So Ilona is a 5-time best-selling author, keynote speaker, and founder and CEO of IP Resilience Global. Let's put our hands together for Ilona. Welcome to the Fiona Small Show.
I am so happy to be here with you, Fiona, and especially hearing your, your accent, British accent. This is like my therapy right here, girl. So I'm so excited.
You're so welcome. It's a pleasure having you. And I really just want to say a big thank you for joining me today. So for those that don't know you, I'd like you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you, what you do, and what makes you so fabulous. Over to you.
So I am a direct descendant of the Armenian Genocide survivor whose grandparents have been slaughtered in front of the eyes of their parents. So, and my grandparents have, fought, and they escaped the massacre. And because of that decision that they have made of escaping it and not returning it, there's another story behind that. I actually live today. My dad actually lives today as well because of that decision. So I was born in the Republic of Georgia, half Armenian. I'm a kid of the two cultures integrated into one, a half Armenian father and half and Ukrainian mother, and it makes me like a hybrid. And I tell everybody without any apologetically that I am a God's masterpiece when they ask me who I am.
Wow. So IP Resilience Global. Now, you birthed that as a result of, would you say, your backstory, or what was the kind of birthing of that? Because I love your term, I'm God's masterpiece, because you were here for a purpose, right? Share with us a bit about your journey into that, and what's with the word resilience. We've got to remember it's become quite a buzzword now. Of lately, people are just flying it around. But I think, tell me about where your resilience has actually come from, and a bit about that.
Well, when I was born, I was a little bit of reject because my dad didn't want to come and see me when I was born because he wanted a boy. Because in the culture, they needed a boy, so I was his firstborn. My grandparents from his side, they have rejected me. They didn't love me. They did not come to rock me. They didn't feed me because the way I looked. My mom was, had with the blonde hair, and I was born, like light as well. And the side of my father family, they're a little bit of olive skin tone, and they're darker. So all of my life I was kind of cast away. My grandparents always would hug my cousins, and they would very shy away and be embarrassed by me and the way I look. My relative had always mocked me and called me ugly. They
Oh,
would
wow.
underline the facial features along with the color of my hair to let me know. And also, like, are you sure this is your father? Are you sure that this is your daughter? So they would always mock me about that. And I would not, I was prohibited to enter to Georgian universities because of my Russian last name, because of the, during the fall of the Soviet Union, we had a civil war between Russia and Georgia,
Yeah.
and they took a little bit of our land and piece of our land. So it was a big political, it's a thing about that. So I became a part of the political decision of not being entered to the universities, even though I passed every single exam. And all my life, I have been always called no, they're shut off. But I was always so determined. I remember one day I went and I wanted to. I went and broke into the presidential residence to steal his lilacs
Wow.
because I wanted to get those lilacs and
Yeah.
give to every single person who is lonely, who is depressed, who needed a little bit of love and care because it
Yeah.
was such a depressed time. But I risked my life because there were soldiers with the guns with the rifles to shoot, but they saw the little kid there, and instead of shooting me too much, they kind of scared me off, so like just a little bit. And there,
How old were
it
you at the time?
but
How
but
old were
boy,
you?
did that stop me, you know, to kind of, because smile, yes, the smile that I saw on their face was $1 million for me. And that's what I wanted to, when I said the dreams that they wanted me to
Wow.
keep going, those dreams. I was hungry enough to get up in the morning to see what's now, God, what's now. I know I am hungry today, I'm devastating today, I'm so cold today because we didn't have no propane gas. Afterward, it was just a dead zone. And
Wow.
I wanted to get up in the morning to see, okay, where's the hope? What's now, God? Is there something special is going to happen today? So I wanted to see the next day. I
Amazing.
wanted to wake up next day just to know that I woken up, that life is still carrying on despite of everything that we went through during the war. And my boss now, he used to say that, Ilona, you cannot handle education, you barely speak English, and all of this no that I inherited in my life,
Yeah.
I used it to fuel, to rekindle this passion, to
Incredible.
hunger how much I wanted in my life. And it
Um,
paid off because I entered the beauty pageant despite of being called ugly, and it kind of validated my identity, who
yeah.
I was.
So
Actually, I wasn't ugly.
when you think about all of that, so you was a child who definitely, I would say, had something in you. You were bold, you were charismatic, you definitely had a spirit in you, was like, no, I really want to help others. And then on top of it, everything that people told you, you used to turn it around. Because I mean, being told that you're ugly, being treated different from like your other family relatives, or even just looking different, and people making you feel, oh, because you look a certain way, you don't fit in. You being able to use that as your fuel, as your power to really inspire. I mean, I take my hat off to you. Not many people would use that and be so passionate and tenacious and still full of zeal for life, because there's a lot of people who life has dealt them some cards and it's not worked out for them, and they walk around with a real bitterness, chip on their shoulder. This person hurt me when I was a child, so I'm still angry when I'm an adult. How have you, I mean, and what would you also say to others? Because one of the things we do on this show is we share tips and we share gems, and we also want to really empower and encourage others that equally have a story to tell. How would you say, for those individuals who were the black sheep in their family, were the ones that was looked down on and mistreated, but are still carrying that today, what would you say to them to kind of allow for them to lift that burden and to allow for life to still be fruitful and flourish?
There's a few things, bigger things that I teach everybody and I just empower them is the power of forgiveness.
Wow.
Power of forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
Yeah.
It's that when you get control of your situation, not them anymore. Sometimes unforgiveness is just like a medicine, like a poison that we drink in hope that somebody else will get hurt and die. It doesn't work this way. So forgiveness is a gift that you give to yourself, and it gives you such an empowerment in your life because they don't control you anymore. You are free. And I tell everybody, you need to learn to the freedom. You need
Yes.
to possess the freedom. But before you do that, freedom shall set you free and freedom shall kill you because you have to depart from your old self,
Yeah.
from the old. You have to start thinking differently. You have to start living differently in your head because it's all in here. Our mind, how we function, how we think ourselves, how we let people feed you with their words. The second one, I always tell them that do not base your identity on someone else's opinion because opinions just like the armpits, everybody's got them but most of them stink. And the third one, yeah, and the third one, never be afraid to trust your unknown future to the unknown God. So when you wake up with all of these three things every day, you know that you're in the good hands. You know that you're well taken care of.
where do you start? Let's go back to basic. Pretend we're dealing with people that are a novice. They've been carrying burdens on their shoulders for such a long time, and they're ready for a change. They know that it's time to let it go. It's time to drop this baggage. It's time to move forward. What is the first step? How do you let go? How do you move forward? How do you begin to take that first step? What's the, give us something.
First of all, you're not alone in the journey. And I want to encourage them to find that one person that they trust, because we cannot do it alone.
Yeah.
I had a voice in my life that was my mom, who always, despite of all of these negative voices, would tell me, Ilona, you're different. Ilona, you are God born. You were supposed to be on this planet. Ilona, you're this. Ilona, you're that. So find the person. Can be your mentor. It's going to be your challenger. It can be your encourager that you can trust, that you will go step by step, but you need to speak out. We need to take this burden, get it out, because when you keep it inside, it will regurgitate between your mind and your heart. And what we think is what we do, what we say. So like garbage in, garbage out. So we need to take this out. We need to take this pain out. We need to speak it out. So find a person you trust. It doesn't have to be your family member. Sometimes people get hurt more from the families and get help. So find somebody who you really trust.
Yes.
And will get these things out, talk about it. I want you to cry, because tears do produce some kind of relief in your life. I cried a lot in my life, and people think the tears are for weeks, for weak people. They can live with that statement, but tears actually eliminate this tension in your life, and actually will let you get back into your senses. You start to think rationally after the tears are past. You relieve this tension. So find somebody that you can be vulnerable with. You need to share your shame, your pain, your embarrassing moment, and your dreams as well. What do you want? So when you know what you want, and you need to follow that and stay really laser focused. There will be things ups and downs, but in a long terms, that you have that possessed in your hand. You have the steering wheel. Like it says that God can help you, but he cannot move the car that is parked.
That's right. You have to take
You have to have it on a road, so he will steer it for you. So, and people are saying that you are so lucky. Some people say, oh, people are getting so lucky. It feels like the golden fish, jumped into their boat, but you still have to push your boat on the water.
In the water. So it's like stepping out in faith, stepping out in the deep, really beginning to take that first step and recognizing that you're not alone. You touched on some really key things. You said about accountability. Now, accountability is something that I believe we all need to have. We do need to share with somebody, be vulnerable, have somebody where you can go to and say, look, I'm not doing good. I'm battling with this. Can you advise me? What would you say? Can you keep me accountable to this? I have a friend, I'll share this, who she's gained quite a lot of weight during the lockdown. And she contacted me and she just said, look, I am not happy with myself. She goes, I keep eating lots of sugar, lots of chocolate. I'm about to start a new job and I need to shift this weight and I need you to help me to become accountable. What can I do? Do you know what? When it comes to those things, I'm quite practical. So I start to know what she is eating. I've been sending her some meal plans. I've been telling her to do some walking and park in the car. She's married, so they're foodies in their house. I'm like, what can you change within your kind of shopping list? But the sheer fact that she came to me and said, look, I need help with this. And she said, it's something I'm really ashamed of, because she said, I know I've gained weight. Nothing fits me. I need to do something about it. And I think sometimes it has to come from recognizing something within us to say, something needs to give, something needs to change. I'm not comfortable with this. And who can I get to help and assist me along this journey that can say, no, water, not juice. No, you said no sugar this week. Yes, you can have a treat, but you don't have to have a treat every day, So little things like that. And we need those cheerleaders. We need those people in our lives that can, because especially the times we're living in now, I'm sure, like us all, it's so uncertain, it's so unpredicted, it's unprecedented. If you turn the news on, you're like, my goodness, even I had to be checking on my American family in New York this week because I was like, not heard from my grandma, she's in New York. My uncle, not heard from them. Are they okay? My
Mhm.
uncle's basement is 6 feet deep in water at the moment. It's like crazy because of the, the Hurricane Ida. I mean, we're dealing
Mhm.
with so much, and it's really important that we find positivity, that we find,
Yes.
you know, we need to hold on. We need to have faith. We need to exercise our faith. And we also equally need to recognize that, greater is he that is within us as well. Because there's often times when we don't feel empowered. We don't feel powerful. Let's be honest. There's not every day. So having your tribe or finding individuals that can boost you and fill that tank when it's running a little bit on empty is super important. I love the analogy you used about the car when you said, yes, the car will be outside, but somebody's got to get in that car and drive it. It's not going to just move itself. So, yeah. So, in terms of like your book and the work that you do, I know that you're a TEDx speaker. Tell us about that.
Well, like I tell everybody, you need to learn to dream and dream big because dreams cannot have a limitation. This is yours. This is something that nobody can take it away from you. And I used to dream that it would be nice to stand on this red dot. How do people do that? Because it was part of my journey while I was in one of my assignments, while I was getting my education, while I was getting my degrees. And I'm like, oh, lucky those people. They're probably so smart. They probably have something special. I'm like, I want to do that too. Boom, opportunity came just like advertisement, how to build the application. I did it. I put my idea that I thought worth spreading. They contacted me and I did one TEDx in Japan. And that's the second one is going to be in New York. And the third one is going to be in
Wow.
Washington, D.C. So I'm kind of excited about that. And it's like I said, just dream big.
Mm.
Just put it out there and universe will put it together right in the right time, right in the right moment, because there are people who want to give and there are people who need to receive that. And then, it's a great synergy when you put those beautiful things together. And I'm unapologetically tell everybody, just go ahead, dream. Don't let people tell you you cannot do it. Don't let people tell you you cannot have a perfect job, great income, or have a job that you love. So it's possible. It's all possible. There's 9 billion people in the universe. There should be one person, one job for you. There's so many jobs out there. It's just there, working just to help you out.
Amazing. So I'm really intrigued by just everything that you've done, because you not only was the person that got a lot of no's, you in fact were somebody who, was cast out by the family. You were also somebody who, as you rightly said, has been through genocide and come through, and equally you're now a TEDx speaker going to speak in 3 states. I mean, Washington, New York, and where was the third one?
Japan.
Japan. Like, come on. Like, if ever you are somebody who is inspiring, and for those that are watching and listening and those that are going to catch it on the replay, I really do hope that when you watch this, you think about yourself and think about Ilona and think about who she could have been just because of how she was treated and what she's done with her life and with her story, because we all have a story. This is the power of us being human beings. We all have a start in life. Some people have had a rocky start, some people have a smooth start, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've taken all of that, amalgamated it, and produced something where you're sat right saying, I'm taking control of this. This is my life, and I'm going to dictate how it's going to go. I think that is truly commendable, and I am so inspired. I'm looking forward to, in fact, watching your TED Talks as well, because, sometimes we can use things as our own barriers. Like you said, the mind can play tricks. You could have been like, oh, I don't speak that good English, or maybe they won't understand me, or oh, am I this or am I that, or there's so many different things that could be racing around in your head, but you're like, I am doing this. What would you say if you were going to speak to your younger self? What would you tell your younger self?
I probably will remind myself because Coco Chanel said that very beautifully. There are people who have money and there are people who are rich. And in a very early age, I would remind myself how rich I was and how rich I am because I have things that money cannot buy. I have things that rich people who are wealthy, that have a bank account, wish to have. I have a freedom. I have this ability to dream. I have ability to have a joy in my life where I can wake up without unapologetically. And I know who I am because I am His and He's in me. And I always say that, I'm God's masterpiece and He's a CEO of my life and my dreams.
Amazing. I mean, that's everything, isn't it? I mean, come on, when you open up with I'm God's masterpiece and come on now, you have got favor over your life, you are blessed, and you know that this is just the beginning. And we've got to speak over ourselves at times, because there's times when you probably don't even feel it, but you've got to, like, I read a daily devotional called Command Your Morning by Dr. Cindy Trim, and it's so powerful. And it's all about, because sometimes it's easy to kind of forget who we are, just because life can sometimes, throw darts at us and we're like, whoa, this is a lot. But when you remember who you are and whose you are, we remember that all things are possible. So I really, really, really am excited for what it is that you're doing, everything that you stand for. I think it's just truly, truly amazing. And, what would you say in terms of like the future plan? What does the future plan look like for you?
I want to build my own empire of the people that will work with me and will work for me as well, with the one common mission of helping the people. I want to have the people who have different sphere of interest to build people up. Like a
Yes.
coaches who can magnify this place. I want to be not just the best in the world. I want to be best for the world. I want to contribute for the world something, because we want to do we're all doing something in the world, but I want to do something for the world. That's my biggest mission. I want to become an international speaker, motivational speaker, where I can empower, inspire, and also ignite people's dream, and just let them know what they have is more than the money can buy, and
Yeah.
there's irreplaceable things. So I want big vision, and I want to write like 10 books. I want to become 10 times best-selling author by the end of this year. This is my mission. I want to finish my doctorate degree and
Wow.
just continue to use that to empower myself and get bigger and better out there, not in the world, but for the world. I want to contribute something that universe is giving to me, that God had given his talents, his passion in my life to do with it. I have so much energy. I feel that I'm going to explode right now in a way that it's like everybody that meets me I want to be rekindled. Like I want them to fall in love with life again.
That's right. And you know what's beautiful? When you have that passion, that tenacity, that zeal, because sometimes it's easy to not still have that. But the sheer fact that actually what you want to do, you want to pour into people, you want to use your life as a living testimony to say to others, look, if I can do it, so can you. What excuses do you have? You can make this happen. And building an empire, as you rightly said, of coaches, of individuals who really can pour into others, because it is so needed now. So needed. Mental health is on the rise. You can see that, poverty, deprivation, we're seeing the world has gone crazy. I mean, there's so many different things going on at the moment. We need inspiration. We need motivation. We need individuals who are going to be able to stand up and say, look, this is what's going on. But did you know you have a choice? Did you know that greater is in you? Did you know that you can do all things? And a lot of people don't want to hear these things, because you can get so consumed with your worries and your woes, because it can feel overwhelming. But when you're able to find individuals that will, like we started and said, be accountable to you, take you under their wing and say, look, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to make sure that you succeed. I will be with you in your ears, and that cheerleader to help you and cheer you along. That's so needed. It's so needed. Even as we look at our children who we're raising, I think sometimes it's easy for us to kind of misrepresent them at times as well. When I say misrepresent, I think it's about allowing them to really be their unique and individual self, where they're able to express. And in, you know, as parents, sometimes we can be the one that we want to steer them, or we want them to go this way, or we want them to go that way, when really they come as individuals. They're unique,
Yes.
you know, they're fearfully and wonderfully made. We should allow for them also equally to say, well, actually, these are my interests, and these are the things that I would love to aspire and attain, and I believe it's possible. We shouldn't try and pigeonhole them either. If we're out here saying to the world, you can do it, go for it, reach for the stars, and then in our own household we're like, no, 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 no. You know, so we, you know, sometimes I have to stand corrected and think, actually, no, allow for them to, you know,
Yeah.
I'm learning to be more observant as well in my kind of cycle of motherhood, and allowing for, you know, my daughter's going to be 17 next month, and my son's 10 now, so it's, you know, I'm dealing with a very different phase of, you know, parenthood. And it's interesting just to kind of observe and see where they're both at, and equally where I'm at as well, because it's like I always say to people and mothers, just like your business goes through different cycles. We're in a really interesting stage in our business at the moment where we're about to pivot. There's some new things on the table. We're putting some new infrastructure in place. We're looking at HR policy. You know, it's just, even I sit back and think, whoa, is this really happening? You know, it's amazing. And equally, like the cycle and the journey of motherhood, I look at it and think, gosh, I'm past that stage. I can actually pop out now and know that they can both be at home, and I don't have to be calling my mum to say, can you come and baby? You know, like it's a whole different space. So I think as we evolve and we see how, you know, our life is transforming, it really puts perspective on so much. And I think it's an exciting time. I mean, I think about just what COVID, I don't know how you would describe it, but when I think about this whole pandemic and what it's birthed for a lot of people, you know, let's put the tragedy aside because it's been very tragic. There's been mass losses. But if we were to look at also, you know, people, businesses that's pivot, the new businesses
Mm.
that's opened, the books that's been written, the unbirthed stuff that had been archived in our folders on our PC that we brought to the world, would it have happened if we didn't have to pause and stop? You know, I often say, I mean, what would you, if you were going to say, you were going to give COVID as an example, what would you say has been your biggest learning during this pandemic?
Is to recognize and appreciate things that we have neglected. Is our family, because we're more closer to them, and our health. This is the time where people are paying attention more and extra to their health. So
Yeah.
something that we probably neglected, we would eat and consume so many things without even rationalizing and thinking how it's going to affect us. Now people are more cautious what they eat, what they drink as well, and of course the staying close to their family, because that COVID time, we got so many restricted with seeing our loved ones, even, visiting them in our hospitals or the nursing homes. And now we appreciate them, what we have, and people are calling their loved ones more and more. And I think there's always some kind of learning point that we need to get and consume out of everything that, life is teaching us. And also, like as Bible says, that what man is intended for evil, God is intended for good. There's so many good things also came out of it. Relationship, networking is blooming. There's some industries are growing with that too. People are realizing about that they're important. They're getting more closer to God. They're getting more closer to each other and staying connecting. They're taking care of themselves. They're checking on them very more often and appreciating and cherishing every single moment when they get to see the live person, their loved ones.
Yes, so true. I mean, you've summed that up so well, because there's the things that we probably took for granted, and then to just think, actually, it really became the little things, didn't it? The real simplistic things that would have just normally have gone over our head because we would not have paid it any attention, but we had to pay it attention because it was right there in our faces all along, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So in terms of like your coaching, I mean, what type of coach are you? Because I mean, I just like the buzzword resilience. It's just like the new buzzword. My therapist or my coach said, you know, it's become this new thing. It's like, oh, my new Birkin handbag. No, let's talk. If we're talking about a coach, would you say that everybody needs to have a coach? And why?
I would encourage them to maybe get one. They don't have to have one, but if there's a need arises, sometimes it's better to trust your needs to a person that doesn't know, but who knows how to get there,
Mm,
versus your loved ones that will maybe steer you away because they do not know how to handle that. They will not be, objective about it. They may be very subjective about their opinions. So having the right coach on your team can do the miracles in your life. And I
yes.
call myself as identity guru because I focus a lot about building your identity, knowing who you are, loving who you are, appreciating who you are. And I always teach about three things that every single person needs to have: a PhD, needs to be poor, needs to be hungry, and needs to be determined in their lives. They need to be poor with the resources. They come to me, they're poor with resources, they have exhausted, they do not know what to do. They have to be hungry. They want to be hungry too. I want it so bad. I just don't know what to do with it. And they have to be determined. There's
Right.
so many things that coaches can do.
Yes,
But if the person wants to lose weight, we cannot do push-ups for you
that's right.
for you to lose weight. But we can be there to cheer you on, to do it with you, right there, to make sure that you're successful, that you show up, that you run, that you do it right. So it's very important to trust, your goals, your ambitions, your directions, your dreams to somebody that will help you along the way. It's still your dreams. Nobody's going to steer you away. It's still your dreams. You're just going to get empowered. You're going to be ignited. You're going to be directed. You're going to be focused. You're going to be full of life and energy. And loving who you are is the biggest gift that you can give to yourself, because it's not selfish, just like our media is telling us loving yourself is selfish. No, loving yourself is
Yeah,
actually God's plan, because he has created us by his likeness, by his image. If we don't love ourselves, we do not accept ourselves, we do not accept him. How many times have people compliment themselves, waking up and telling, oh my gosh, you're amazing, I cannot wait, you look so great, or giving
mm,
yourself a little bit of boost? We don't do that.
true.
I started to compliment myself every day, because doing that, I compliment God, telling
Yeah.
him, God, I am fearfully and wonderfully
Right.
made.
Yes, absolutely. And this is more of, because some people can misinterpret that and think, oh, she's arrogant. Oh, she's a bit of a narcissist. Oh, she's a bit self-absorbed. It's not. It's actually okay. The opposite to that is like being your biggest critic, or walking around just full of
Yes.
all of this anxiety or
Yeah.
nervousness. Confidence is, there's nothing, oh, Godfidence. As I've heard.
Nothing wrong with that. And that's very important as well too. And yeah, we have to love ourselves, and because loving us is loving him. And even the Bible says you have to take care of your body, because your body is, temple of the Holy Spirit. It's just we're renting this place. It's not God's. It's not ours. It's God's. We have to make sure we take care of itself. We have to put the effort, time, the energy, maybe even money to invest in this physical body as well too. We have to make sure that we watch what we eat, because whatever goes inside, it affects us physically. And God hurts because it's his body. It's like it's aching so much right now, and he wants us to be energetic, to be happy as well. Be in happy body, there's a happy spirit. So that's why it's all connected. When you're sick, your spirit is also wounded, and it has no joy. And I always tell people, little bit of laughter goes a long way.
It
People can, even lose weight by laughing, because it burns so much calories of us. Entire smile, kind of pulls out maybe like 28 muscles that help. So that's why smiling is important. Laughing is also important. Breathing, air, just sitting and inhaling, breathing, it also burns the calories and fats as well too. So many things that God is giving right around us is free, available to us. We just have to use it.
We have to use it. And the thing is sometimes it's just habit and know-how. You know what you're describing about, having a coach that will help you, and the PhD, being poor, being hungry, you've got to realize that there are certain elements that you will have, but the conditioning that some of us have, and I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I procrastinate. I'm not always full of motivation. Sometimes I do need to have that self-talk with myself and say, Fiona, get the admin out the way, respond to those emails, sort it out, get the cupboard sorted that's bothering you, chuck out the clothes, declutter, lighten your, the little things that sometimes are weighing us down. And we can be, if we're not careful, we can become complacent and we can fall into that. And it's just really recognizing that, you know what, if I can change my habits, if I can be disciplined, if I can really think about actually, what is it? What really is it that I am striving to, that I really, really do want? Or how bad do I want it? How hungry am I for it? And those are the questions that we've really got to begin to ask ourselves, because there's times when you're like, yeah, I want it, but it will happen anyway. No, we've got to also put in that work. And if it requires an element of fasting, I've been fasting a lot more of lately, just to discipline my own self. Throughout the month of August, I dedicated a time of fasting, and I'm telling you, I have seen a manifestation, and the doors that is opening is just like, I know it's
Yeah.
because of the discipline. I know it's because of the discipline. And I heard in the month of August, because 8 signifies new beginnings, and I really said to myself, I'm gonna this is a new beginning. I want to dedicate and commit, but in the last quarter of the year, I want to finish strong. And I thought to myself, the only way I can do that, as you rightly said, there's times when we're not comfortable with things, but we know what we need to do to change it. And it is about having that discipline. So I'm really glad that you touched on that, because not many people recognize you even highlighted, the muscles that burning from smiling, from breathing, which we should be doing every day anyway, so it's so important. I'm just really loving this conversation, and I think it's just amazing what's being said and what's being shared. And I really do hope for those that are watching and that are being inspired, that you will tap in to Ilona, that you will, if you've got any questions that you need to ask, please feel free to do so. And what we can do, I mean, these are practical kind of life tips and life gems that we know, but sometimes we need them reinforced, we need them reiterated, we need to be reminded at times, because it's so easy to forget or be consumed with just life on a whole. So thank you for the reminder and for being so practical with it as well. Do you have anything coming up that you would like to share, or you'd like to, tell anyone about?
Yes, of course, TEDx is one. And next year, I'm holding the conference in Chicago for the leaders, for men and women in leadership, where it will be absolutely phenomenal place to come for networking. We're going to have like a gala in there as well. So there's the YouTube channel we're going to expand as well to help and instrument and empower people as well. And I'm writing 5 more books by the end of this year to reach my 10 times best-selling author title.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. 5 books. And we've got Rhonda LT that sent us a hello, ladies. I just want to say hello, Rhonda. Thank you for watching and tuning in. Do you know what? I think it's amazing that you said you're writing 5 books. Talk to us how you're going to complete 5, not 1, 5 books.
Well, my first book, it took me like 2 years, over 2 years to write, and actually, it's in front of me because it's I'm on a desk. It's we call it Opium of the Almond Tree. This book is 333 pages, and it's memoir, but it's not just a memoir. It's combined with some of the philosophical, some of the personal, some of the spiritual aspects of the life. And I take this book and break them down and write the book that is very niche and focused. So I'm taking the physical part of it, and I'm writing the book as a personal trainer about health. And I completely revolutionize and talking about the health in completely different area and spectrum than what people usually expect and reading the health books. And I'm breaking my book down, and it becomes very niche and very focused in that I wrote the children's book as well and a recipe book, but it's a side of that. But it's going to be self-developing book that is going to be absolutely um, instrumental, effective, and very practical for anybody else. It's easy to read,
Yeah.
and I try to make sure that I filter it. And actually, one of them called Unfiltered. One of them says Unapologetic, another one says Unleashed. It's a series of three coming up. So I pretty much they're gonna get me how I speak.
Yes, wonderful. So you just want to just put it out there. Would you say that this is the time to just say, and you know what I do love? I mean, this year was the year for me where I decided to publish. I co-authored a book called Effective Ways on How to Improve the Single Parent Experience. It's available on Amazon Kindle, and it was the year where it was like following the single parent summit that I did, co-authored it with a guy named Dr. Solomon Tension, who's based in Texas. You know, not ever met him in person. We were on the social media app together, Clubhouse, connected. You know, the rest is history. And we produced that in, so we launched it on Father's Day, 5 months. So it's possible. It is possible. I do believe that, you know, when you put your mind to something, and it is about mindset, it is about discipline, and equally, it's also about who you have around you and how resourceful you are. Because there's times when not everything we can do. There's individuals that we need to call on to do a few things for us to help us along the way. But I think when you really do set yourself a goal and you say, right, I am going to make sure that by the end of the year, I am releasing 5. I mean, that's a high call, I must say. I mean, I do admire you for wanting to put out 5, but you've tasked yourself to it, and you believe it's possible. And it's really important that throughout, you know, this journey called life, I believe it's about legacy as well. It's like, what is your mark going to be? What will people say about you when you're no longer here? What evidence is going to be left behind here on earth to say that you were here? And oftentimes we forget that it is about, you know, leaving our mark. It is about passing on that baton and using our life experience, chronicles, you know, documenting it, getting it really out there so others can pick it up and be like, wow, you know, this is what she did against all the odds. This is what happened, you know. And as we write, you know, our life stories, and as we journey life as it is right now, it's important to recognize actually what is it all about. You know, if you were going to summarize as we're coming down, I mean, what would you say for you it's really all about? Is it about you just wanting to set these goals, or would you say you're trying to make sure that every naysayer back in the past can look and say, I'm sorry, we got it wrong? Like, what would you say it's for?
Um, I know people usually like sometimes mix it and get the things around and get things twisted in their lives. But I tell it for myself. If you have why, you can bear anyhow. So when you have your why you're doing things that you're doing, everything that comes along to get there is going to be secondary. When you get that reward in your hand, every single tears is worthy. Every single time you have spent in the worthy. People usually see the end results, everything I do. They do not see my late night. I sometimes go to bed at 4 a.m., wake up at 6 a.m. I sometimes skip the meals because I'm so into the writing. I'm sometimes so into my messaging out there. So People do not see that. So every masterpiece that we produce, everything that we produce, there's always work behind us. And I always tell that, I am very disciplined, determined, and also driven. Those triple D's are inside of my life. And we need to also remember why we do that. And it's sometimes we are so in a rush of helping the world, while the world that we need to help is in our household. It's our children, it's our loved ones, it's our parents. When was the last time we pick up the phone and called our parents and said, hey, how are you doing? So we're so rushed. My biggest thing is to help for my kids to see, do not give up on your dreams. Look at mama. If she had so many hurdles. If she did that, I can do it too. Every single day I tell it to my kids, do not give up on your dreams. If I did it, you can do it too. And you can achieve even more and bigger. So the message that I'm trying to get with my life is to pass to my kids. If I fail in that respect, in that regard, nothing that comes out of it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it starts at home. It starts at home. It begins at home first. I really, really, really agree with you there. And it does start with, these, I always call these little humans that we've been given stewardship over. We want the world to look around and think, oh, thank you for raising these children in society. It's important. It's really, really important. So, I just want to say a big thank you all the way from the UK. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Really excited for you, really excited for the things that you're doing, the things you're about to achieve. The world needs it right now. So well done for everything, against all odds, against everything that you've been through and who you are today and the woman you've become. You're still smiling, you're still full of joy, you're still full of passion and drive. And, I believe that the world needs to just hold up, because you're just getting started. And it's going to be a really exciting time for you. So just continue in the faith, continue with all that you're doing, and just keep us updated with what you're doing. Don't forget to follow Ilona on all of her social handles. I will be posting them when I repost and share this link as well. And any questions that you do have and you'd like to ask, please feel free to do so. You have been watching the Fiona Small Show. My name is Fiona Small. I've been joined with a beautiful, amazing guest. Ilona, I want you to pronounce your surname, because I don't want to pronounce it and it's incorrect. Say your surname.
It's Parukanova.
Parukanova. Did I get that?
Yes.
Lovely. I didn't want to say it incorrectly. Well, I just want to say thank you again. You have been truly amazing. We are going to sign out. I will be back again with the Fiona Small Show with another amazing guest. So stay tuned. The field that is in, stick with it, immerse yourself in it. One of my mentors told me, master your brief. And when he said master your brief, I was thinking, what do you mean master my brief? And what I did was, I really have done that. I've mastered my brief to the extent where I can quote stats, I can quote this, I can draw for reports and journals, and we've done focus groups on this, that and the other. And then now people are like, whoa, okay, she knows that exactly what she's talking about, because I had to master my brief.
Most definitely. You got it.